Actually, I have more than 33 years of experience in the Hong Kong Housing Authority, and I'm overseeing all the planning, development, and construction of public housing in Hong Kong, providing almost half the population with affordable public housing. And after retiring from my government paid job, I find myself landed with a lot of government appointments to various boards. The reason being, I'm really collaborating with a lot of people. When I was in post as the Deputy Director of Housing and doing all sorts of work, that now I am a member of the Land Sharing Pilot Scheme and also Advisory Council on the Environment, Green Tech Fund Assessment Committee, and Occupation Safety and Health Council, just an example. So I have to work with a lot of people for collaboration in order to bring public housing to fruition. Next slide, please. And today I'm going to share with you a little experience about three aspects. First is the global perspective, and second is the Hong Kong story of public housing or affordable housing. And the third is our little housing ladder story over the last 7 decades. Next slide, please. So the first part is the global perspective. Next slide, please. And according to the UN Habitat, everyone has a fundamental human right for housing, which ensures access to affordable access to safe, secure, habitable, and affordable home. I think that is fundamental to everyone. And in this lies sets the global challenge for housing. 1.6 billion people lack adequate housing globally. That's according to the UN Habitat 2023. But if we project to the future, the problem is more devastating. By 2030, UN Habitat estimates that 3 billion people, or about 40% of the world's population, will need access to adequate housing. So this is a bit daunting. This translates into a demand for 96,000 new affordable and accessible housing units every day. Additionally, an estimated 100 million people worldwide are homeless, and 1 in 4 people live in harmful conditions. So, access to housing is a precondition for access to employment, education, health, and social services. And in order to address the current housing challenges, all levels of government should put housing in the center of urban policies by placing people and human rights at the forefront of urban sustainable development. So this brings us neatly to this issue of sustainable development. Next slide, please. So here, I'm going to show you the Sustainable Development Goals Report 2025 for the 17 Sustainable Development Goals. Next slide, please. Next slide shows that with 5 years to go, the start area of the SDG progress, as you can see, is quite unsatisfactory, with only 35% showing adequate progress. The rest are either marginal progress or stagnation or regression. So globally, this is a wake-up call, and you have to appreciate the urgency of this emergency. Next slide, please. Next slide, I'm going to explore the report and actually identify some of those issues that we have to face in terms of housing. Now, if we look at the first one, which is no poverty, and 590 million people still live in extreme poverty. And goal number 3, that is good health and well-being. COVID-19 undid nearly 10 years of progress in life expectancy. And next slide, please. I will show a highlight of some of them. The goal number 5. Next slide, please. 2.5 women spend 2.5 times more hours in the active domestic and care work than men. So for women, the moral recession. And the next one is even more disturbing and uneasy. For the sixth SDG, clean water and sanitation, it shows that at the current speed in 2030, 2 billion people will still live without safely managed drinking water. So water is also very important. 2 billion people. And then the next one, goal number 7, CO2 emissions, which is goal number 9. CO2 emissions fell by 11%, and this is still to rise. So these are alarming. And then the next one, goal number 11, which is sustainable cities and communities. And there it says slum populations increased, reaching 1.1 billion. So this is really our concern for housing. And the next one, which is goal number 12, responsible consumption and production. 1 billion meals of edible food are wasted every day. So food is another big waste. Next one, next slide please. Turning to this one, goal number 13, which is the climate action. Every year is the hottest year. 2003 is the hottest year, and then 2024 is another record high hottest year. I'm not sure. This year may be also the hottest year. So it's on the rise. So this, I think, underscores the emergency of our climate actions in urgency. And goal number 15, life on land. Now, small-scale farming is done at the expense of the deforestation, and this is also causing alarm. And this will aggravate the climate action needs and urgency. So, and in the last one, goal number 17, with less than 1/5 of targets on track, the world is failing to deliver on the SDG promise. So this is really alarming. Next slide, please. So with the next slide, I'm going to show you the World Green Building Council's action, leading change, green buildings for everyone, everywhere on Earth. And moving forward as a global citizens, we should put our acts together with concerted efforts, collaboration, that is, and in the global green building movement, extending our influence with greater impact everywhere, aiming high with more ambitious targets, with strong leadership and authority in the world. So green building with sustainable development, we hope that we can help to change and make a change. Next slide, please. So if you look at the green buildings to meet sustainability, sustainable development goals, many of them can be packed to the various SDGs. Notably, green buildings use circular principles where resources aren't wasted, and green buildings can improve people's health and well-being. These are some of the examples of the selected SDGs that green building movement can help. Next slide, please. And then we crystallize all these actions into 3 major areas. Next slide, please. It shows climate action with advancing net zero movement, and then health and well-being, better places for people, and resources efficiency with circularity are the 3 main areas that the World Green Building Council is advocating that everyone should do. Next slide, please. And this was our work when I was with the World Green Building Council as the director on board. So with Better Places for People, under the World Green Building Council's North Star goal, a built environment that delivers healthy, equitable, and resilient buildings, communities, and cities. So our work is underpinned by the 6 core principles of the health and well-being framework. So these are one of the areas. Next slide, please. So we hope that we can have an equitable, resilient, and built environment. And according to Christina Gamble, the CEO of World GBC, said our sector is in a strong position to deliver resilient development that integrates mitigation and adaptation measures, whilst also addressing other pressing societal issues, including energy security, resilience, health, and equity. Next slide, please. So we may ask, how can we make buildings green and sustainable? These include a number of ways to make it green. First, taking an intelligent approach to energy. And second, safeguarding water resources. So water is important, I think, especially in Africa, because Africa is under a high water stress, according to the according to the UN SDGs. And minimizing waste and maximizing reuse, promoting health and well-being, keeping our environment green, creating resilient and flexible structures, connecting communities and people, and considering all stages of a building's life cycle. Next slide, please. Next slide shows the problem with buildings. The problem with buildings is that a third of the global greenhouse gas emissions are from buildings. And about 40% of global energy is consumed by buildings and building activities. And 2 to 5 times more pollutants are found inside buildings. Next slide, please. In the next slide is a projection to the year 2050. Previous slide? Previous one. Yeah. Now, by 2050, global population will increase by 27% to 9.8 billion, or almost 10 billion. And the global floor area will increase by 100%. This, you may ask, is disproportionate. The growth of floor area is much more than the population increase. So we have to think carefully before we build. And then climate action, buildings or the energy demand will increase by 50% by 2050. Buildings are responsible for 50% of global material use. So we are a big spender of the Earth's resources. So we may kill our planet if we are not careful. So health and well-being, 91% people live where air pollution levels exceed World Health Organization limits. So these are the kind of projections that we look towards the year 2050. Again, it calls for our urgent action now. So the global housing crisis, interlinked with the dual crisis of unprecedented climate change and biodiversity loss, is one of the greatest social challenges we face today. And housing infrastructure can continue to exacerbate the problems, or we can be part of the solution. So the global building and construction industry needs a monumental shift. Next slide, please. The Sustainable and Affordable Housing Report by the World GBC challenges the widespread perception that affordable and sustainable housing is not a mass market solution, and many of the solutions of global housing crisis already exist. The case study content from 5 regions highlights the cutting-edge built environment projects and making sustainable and affordable housing a reality for all, from the 3D printed homes in Kenya, community engagement and collaborative financing models in Nepal, to disaster resilience retrofits in the Philippines. And through this publication, the World GBC champions a unified vision for sustainable, affordable housing and spotlights best practice worldwide to demonstrate opportunities for success that could be scaled for greater impact. An analysis of case study data derives key calls to action for policymakers, the finance community, community leaders to work together. From the design and construction industry to work as well. Next slide, please. So this slide shows the principles of sustainable affordable housing that includes habitability and comfort, community and connectivity, reliance and adaptation to a changing climate, resource efficiency and circularity, and economic accessibility. I won't go into the details, but you can read it from this report by the World GBC. Next slide, please. This shows some examples of how this can be achieved. And notably, say, for example, economic accessibility, purchase and leasing price, reuse costs, and also economic security, living costs, and development costs. And also resilience and adaptation to a changing climate with adaptability, nature-based solutions, safety, hazard and disaster resilience. All these demands a fundamental change to the way we work and the way we operate. Next slide, please. The life cycle of sustainable and affordable housing is in the circle. First is the land acquisition and choice of location. Second is the financing and budgeting. And then is design and planning, supply and manufacture, building and construction, to operation and maintenance, and redevelopment and repurposing, and the end of life. End of life does not mean that you have to scrap everything and turn them to waste. Some people say buildings are considered to be a temporary storage of materials that you can reuse at the end of life. So please bear that in mind. So if you have to demolish, think about how you can reuse the building, repurpose the building, or reuse the materials from the demolition debris. Next slide, please. The next slide shows the challenges and opportunities about how we build. There are challenges. What type of construction is built and used and where? The second question, how much is being built? The third question, how they are being built and used. So ask these questions first. And the opportunities is that we can promote and enable adequate and sustainable construction and align development needs with supply of construction worldwide, and adopt more sustainable practices relating to the manufacturing of construction products and the design, construction, and use of building and infrastructure. This also includes, if you look at green building assessment, the distance between the place of manufacturing and the place where it is used. So we try to keep it within 800 kilometers and best within 500 kilometers. That means that you try to use your indigenous materials and construction methods as far as possible. Next slide, please. So that was from the One Planet, from the UN initiative, Handle with Care. It's catalyzing science-based policy action on sustainable consumption and production, the value chain approach and its application to food, construction, and textiles. You may ask, why would it tackle these three particular sectors? Food, we mentioned food waste is a problem. Construction, use half of the extracted materials every year. Textiles, in the last 20 years, production of apparels have doubled in quantity. These are the three big wasters on Earth. So when we use materials for food, for building, and for textiles, for apparels, again, think carefully before you dump them into waste. We only have one planet, so please use it wisely. Next slide. Next slide is the Hong Kong story. Yeah, so I'll talk about Hong Kong. This part, I think Jamuka has heard about it when we were in the International Women's Forum at the World Leadership Conference. Now, may I ask the audience, who have been to Hong Kong? Hands up. Good. Now, I think For those who have been in Hong Kong, you may appreciate that Hong Kong is, the next slide please, high rise, high density, compact city, and we are in a subtropical climate with a lot of hills, with a hilly terrain, and natural habitat is within easy reach. We have to build high rise. Our population is 7.5 million, and our land is only 1,100 square kilometers. But the built-up area is only around 25% of the land. The reason is because we have a lot of hills, and we preserve our country parks, our marine parks, and our geoparks as well. So we have contained our footprints for building within the smallest possible area. So you can look at it and you can see that it's highly dense, it's high density and highly populated, high rise everywhere. But you can travel within 30 minutes, you'll be in the countryside, in the mountain trails, or in the beaches. I think you may have appreciated that if you've been in Hong Kong. And if you look at population by type of housing, in 2022, public permanent housing accounts for 46% of the population. This comprises public rental housing that provides for 30% of the population already. Another 16% subsidized sale flats. And then private permanent housing, 53.3%, and the rest 0.7% with temporary housing. So this is the spread of our housing, or the housing ladder, I would say. And this doesn't show very clear. Average living space per person for the public rental housing in 2023 is 13.8 square meters internal floor area per person. It's not, it's tiny, put it this way. But the life expectancy is the longest in the world. So you may wonder why. It's because we're living in a high density area. We can get access to medical facilities very easily. And people in Hong Kong, 90% are using public transport to go to work. So we have a very efficient transport network, or public transport network. And people can use the open space or the communal spaces very easily. Next slide, please. A little bit about history of public housing in Hong Kong. Hong Kong's public housing program dates back to the 1950s. It has been addressing the housing needs of low-income families for over half a century and contributed to the city's social cohesion and stability. The architecture, the way of life, and the culture in public housing estates have been evolving over the decades and made up a rich heritage cherished by many people in Hong Kong. In the early 50s, masses of people surged into Hong Kong. This led to a drastic increase in the number of squatters. Fires were common in these unhygienic and cramped makeshift homes. And on Christmas night in 1953, a tragic fire broke out, devastating the squatter area in Shek Kip Mei, making more than 50,000 people homeless overnight. So this is an emergency. And in 1954, the government decided to implement a systematic resettlement program. So this was the birth of public housing by a fire. Next slide, please. And the Housing Authority was then set up, in 1973. The vision is to provide affordable rental housing to low-income families with housing needs and to help low and to middle-income families gain access to subsidized home ownership. Mission: provide affordable quality housing, management, maintenance, and other housing-related services to meet the needs of our customers in a proactive and caring manner. So caring, a caring heart is very important. A house is built with bricks, but a home is built with hearts. So a caring heart is very important in the way we do things. And to provide an age-friendly and barrier-free estate environment to address the needs of residents of different ages and physical ability. We have an aging population, and also that's why we need it very urgently. And to ensure cost-effective and rational use of public resources in service delivery and allocation of housing assistance in an open and equitable manner. And the last one is important, people. To maintain a competent, dedicated, and performance-oriented team. Now this team, I'll emphasize, is not only ourselves, not only our staff. It also includes our consultants, our contractors, subcontractors, suppliers, the workforce, safety officers, and everyone in the value chain that works for us. Also, cleansing workers, security guards in the estate management side. So this includes all the people that have to bring them along, not only serve our customers, but also serve these informal or networked customers. And we have a 4 C's core value. The 4 C's meaning caring, customer-focused, creative, and committed. Next slide, please. That is people-centric. And we care for the environment and we care for our people. So economic sense, Hong Kong's public housing isn't just a social safety net. It's the backbone of our economy. It stabilizes labor supply. Around 30% of the population live in rental housing, including many low-income workers essential to the city's service sector. For example, cleansing workers, security guards, retail staff, and construction logistics workers. Without subsidized rental housing, these workers couldn't afford to live in one of the world's most expensive cities. And the rent we charge for public housing is around 10% of the median household income. And it's only around 20% to 25% of the market rent. So this means that low-income families have more disposable income in their pockets. And so these humble citizens make the living and they have a decent place to live in affordable quality housing. And they still have the ability to move their money around, maintaining consumer spending. And this will bring economic viability to our local markets. So this works economically in a sense. Next slide shows the social aspects. Next slide, please. The public housing estates are comprehensive developments providing not only dwellings, but also a host of affordable essential facilities, including retail, car parking, community, welfare, education, recreation, and transport facilities in a harmonious society. It's a comprehensive development. It's like a mini city in itself. And this means social stability. And we provide an age-friendly and barrier-free estate environment to address the needs of residents so that they can age in place for the old people. They don't need to move to elderly homes. And this means we can make rational and effective use of our city's resources as a whole. And then public housing mitigates extreme inequality, curbing social unrest that could deter foreign investments. So housing stability fosters predictable environment for businesses and investors. And this is critical for a city reliant on global finance and international trading. So this is what we mean by economic and also social aspects. Not to mention environmental, I'll show you in a minute. Next slide, please. There's a handful of powerful, I'll skip this slide, but this is about private developments. And everybody will try to speculate and make the best profit out of it. Next slide, please. It's the planning and design of public housing in Hong Kong. And we deliver public housing from the macro level with city planning and urban design to maximize site potential whilst designing and planning for people with nature in mind. To the micro level, interior space and furniture layouts of the domestic flats, bringing care and attention to details for quality living space and services, and applying lean design and sustainable design construction and sustainable construction. So I am a keen advocate of passive design, assisted by maritime studies, BIM, and GIS. So started from 2004, we have been applying microclimate studies and air ventilation assessments to all our planning projects, start from the beginning. Not design, planning, and land acquisition. So this means that we can make best use of natural lighting and natural ventilation without the use of mechanical lighting and mechanical ventilation. This means that we can save energy and also reduce the cost for the subsequent maintenance and operation. So bringing breeze and light are very important. Next slide, please. I'm going to go quick for these slides. Planning for people, we have baseline performance with the planning requirements, and we consult stakeholders. For consultation, we consult everybody that are in the neighborhood and in the community. And with a comprehensive approach, we have providing transport, car parking, community centers, social welfare facilities, education, retail facilities, pedestrian circulation, and local spaces and landscaping. We have at least 1 square meter of open space per person in our estates, and 1 tree for every 15 flats at least. And for our green ratio, it is 30% of the site area for green ratio. For sites over 2 hectares. For smaller sites, at least 20%. So make it green, make it healthy for everyone. Next slide, please. Next slide is planning design people with nature in mind. So we have a host of technical studies helping designers to integrate passive design elements holistically and refine the estate layout and building disposition. So it's a balanced design assuring social, economic, and environmental sustainability, maximizing development potential, and fast-tracking delivery of public housing. Next slide, please. Next, I'm going to just give you an overview. We have to bring breeze and light with passive design macroeconomic studies, and we need a quiet environment for living. We have noise mitigation measures. And the third one, universal design for people of all ages and abilities. And the fourth one, improving habitable space, enhancing usability and durability. The fifth is enhancing healthy living, saving water, improving energy efficiency. And the sixth is screening for healthy living and avoiding urban heat island effects to ensure green environment and also healthy living environment with also social cohesion. Next slide, please. This shows the 20-something studies that we have to conduct at the early planning stage to make sure that what we do is socially, environmentally, and economically viable. Next slide, please. So this is bringing breeze and light. Next slide, please. I have to skip because the time is limited. So we use BIM as a design tool to help us with standardized modular flats that with rotary symmetry and with a fair face concrete with lean construction that we can simplify the building process and make it mechanized. Next slide, please. And we reduce carbon emission at the detailed design by assessing 6 aspects of the carbon emission. Next slide, please. So we have noise mitigation to create quiet living environment by mitigating at source or at the renovate to have the acoustic balcony and acoustic windows. Next slide, please. We are in a dense urban area, and we have efficient transport system. That's why we have traffic noise. And we have to mitigate traffic noise for this purpose. And this one is a design that enables people of all ages and abilities, the old, the young, the handicapped, can also use the spaces in the estates and in the living area easily. Next slide, please. And even though the flats are small, they are all accessible. Next is, next slide. Improving habitable space and enhancing buildability with the functional and cost-effective design using modular flats. And now we can have modular integrated construction as well. So prefabrication has been with us for a long, long time. And that shows the smallest flats with 1 to 2 persons with only 14 square meters internal floor space. It's the smallest one. And we have site-specific design with a modular design. Next slide, please. I would like to show you some of the other slides later. And that is improving energy efficiency and saving energy with 2-level lighting system for the public areas. Next slide, please. And with green living and avoid urban heat island effect with green ratio up to 30% for large sites. And we provide community farm in every new estate so that people can use the farm with urban farm as well. Next slide is, next slide please, is saving water, and we try to use zero irrigation as well. Because we're greening and we want to save water, what do? We innovate and we use zero irrigation. And next slide is the housing ladder story. This is a long story for 7 decades, so I'm going to go quick. Next slide, please. So this is the first of our estates, 7-story walk-ups. This is a vertical city, by the way. The ground floor is provided with shops. The roof, a school. And the 6 stories are habitable dwelling units. These are non-self-contained flats that we built in a kind of emergency situation. So these are all living units with communal bathrooms and no kitchen. They have to cook at the corridors. Next slide, please. That is the after the fire. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. Yeah, in the early 50s. That's after the fire. Next slide, please. In 1954, the government immediately built 2-story bungalows on the site to provide temporary shelter. So these are emergency shelters. And then government set up a fund for constructing multi-story resettlement buildings and appointed a commissioner for this purpose. And then a semi-independent organization, the former Housing Authority, was also set up. And these are these 8 6-story resettlement blocks were completed in Shakib May. This is the beginning of the resettlement program. Next slide, please. This is the plan of the building. As I mentioned, they have only got the communal bathrooms or washrooms in the center. And then it's not only housing. We only provide them with work. And we have built some factory estates in the vicinity to enable them to continue with the place of work as well. So comprise 6-story blocks without lift service and built between 1957 and 1965. So it's not only housing, but it's also places of work and community facilities that we also built in those days. Next slide, please. So these are the other scheme, which is the low-cost housing program. The buildings are much better than the resettlement estates, but they are still low-cost housing, built in the 1950s to 1960s. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. Yeah. And then we have, in 1964, government published a white paper entitled Review of Policies for Squatter Control, Resettlement and Government Low-Cost Housing. So this is the beginning of the housing ladder. The temporary housing scheme was launched to accommodate those who were not immediately eligible for permanent public housing. Next slide, please. So this is the 1964 housing ladder. We have the cottage areas, the temporary housing scheme, and then resettlement estates. And next level up will be low-cost housing estates. And then for the private housing, we have tenements, ordinary apartments, and luxury apartments and houses. So this is the housing ladder. Next slide, please. This will show you the kind of innovation about the policy and how they change. In 1965, high-rise resettlement blocks with improved facilities were built. And the population in public housing estates reached 1 million. And the population in Hong Kong is 3 million. So it's a third population living in public housing already in those days. Next slide, please. And these are the plans of those blocks. Next slide, please. And in the 1960s to 70s, the Twin Towers were designed and built. Next slide, please. And they built taller buildings. And 1973, the public housing bodies were reorganized, and a new housing authority was born. And 1972, government announced a 10-year housing program. And with the development of the Mark I and Mark II, the resettlement estates, because they are not really suitable for sustainable living, they were started to demolish beginning in Shakib May. Next slide, please. In 1976, now this is the beginning of the subsidized home ownership scheme. And government decided to implement this scheme to enable lower middle income families and public rental housing tenants to acquire their own homes. So they moved one ladder up, one step up. Instead of rental, they moved to subsidized sale flats. And in 1978, To speed up the AIHS program, government invited private sector to participate in the private sector participation scheme, the PSPS. So this is another innovation in policy in those days. Next slide, please. So in 1978, the housing ladder shows the squatter and cottage areas. Temporary housing still exists. And then we have public rental housing with redevelopment program of the resettlement estates, and private sector participation scheme, and also home ownership scheme. And then in the private housing market, we have ordinary apartments and luxury apartments and houses. Next slide, please. And then the middle income housing was completed. That's another new scheme. It completed in 1983. The reason, because the house prices keep rising, and then even the middle income families can't afford to buy the home. That's why we have this middle income housing, and a total of 10 blocks. Next slide, please. So we have added one more rung in the ladder with the middle income housing scheme. Next slide, please. But after this, the market collapsed. And then we have to change the middle income housing to private housing again. So this shows that we have to adjust the policy in tune with economic times. Now, I think I don't, because time is almost up, I think, so I will not continue with the subsequent story. But this will give you a flavor of how we have to adjust the policies of housing to suit economic and social needs at the time. And for us, we have a lot of changes as well. Actually, I can show you that later on. We have redevelopment scheme, and then we have tenant purchase scheme. And then we have to stop all the home ownership schemes because we overlap with the private sector market with the downturn of the economy. So it goes in many twists and turns as we move and maneuver through the ages. So this shows that we have to be flexible and be ready to adopt and adjust our policies to suit. Thank you very much.